Disclaimer. The following content is entirely fictional and does not represent real events or people. This material has been edited and adapted from the channel Romance Reverie. I looked around the room, checking to make sure everything was just the way he liked it. Satisfied that it was up to his expectations, I checked the time. Perfect. My father was the alpha of this pack and a ruthless one at that. Tonight, he was hosting an important dinner, so he was especially on edge. I wasn't certain on who was coming, but from all the commotion going on it had to be another alpha. And a powerful one. No one told me anything though. I wasn't worth the wasted breath. Pulling on my ragged, food-stained apron, I turned to the stove top. I was ordered to prepare a giant meal for whoever was coming tonight. I thought about all the worrying the pack was doing over this meeting and wondered which of the alphas would be attending it and why. There are two possibilities. Both were extremely powerful shifters, and from what I heard, colder and more ruthless than my father. Alpha Zachary and Alpha Colton were both rumored to be the most powerful alphas we have had in a while. No one messed with their packs. My father's dream is to become more powerful and more famous than them. I was so stuck in my head thinking of who it could be that I hadn't heard someone enter the kitchen. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up and my whole body tensed. I broke out into a cold sweat and immediately bowed my head as I turned to face him into a submissive position. I clasped my hands behind my back, already preparing myself. "Hello, Alpha," I stuttered, fear completely washing over me. "You better have everything done and not have fucked anything up." My father sneered. I hated my father. Long ago we were happy. Well, me and my mother were. My father loved my mother a lot, for she was his mate. But with me he had wished I was a boy. Females were weak to him. One day me and my mother went out for a picnic. We sat in a small meadow on the edge of the forest. It was a bright and warm day with a gentle breeze that kept us cool. Our pack house wasn't too far. It could be seen from where we sat. All of a sudden, my mother had turned to me, her eyes wide and glowing. But what really caught my attention was the fear. She grabbed me and started to run towards the house, but I could see the Rouge wolves gaining on us. They came bolting out of the forest straight for us. She knew we wouldn't make it, so she told me to run. Run and don't look back. And I did for the most part. I can all the way to the house, but just as I got there, I turned and saw her getting ripped to shreds. A scream tore out of me, but by then she was gone and the wolves from my pack had started to run out towards them. My mom had stayed behind to fight them off, so I can get to safety. My father never forgave me for that. He has told me multiple times he wishes I was never born. I agree. "Everything you asked for is done," I whispered. "Well, see," he said as he walked out. As soon as he was gone, I relaxed and turned to the back door. I needed to get some fresh air. Before I could even step out of the kitchen, my hair was yanked back and I was pushed against the counter. "Hello, Charity," Jake whispered. "Please, Jake. Leave me alone. Just for today," I whimpered. Jake was the alpha's beta and one of the biggest pains in my ass. He enjoyed to torture me. He grabbed my wrists and was holding so tight I knew bruises would already be forming. "Oh. Now, Charity. That's no way to greet me," he said as he let go of one of my arms and brought his hand up to my face to slap me. It rang through the kitchen, but I knew no one was around, and if someone was they wouldn't have done anything. This was normal. I felt the sting and tears came to my eyes, but I did not let them shed. He liked it when I cried. "Now next time I come to visit you, we should try to be a little more respectful." Okay? He asked. I nodded my head, and he gave me a smile. Alpha Colton will be here soon. Go back to your room. We don't need him seeing a shameful waste of space like you, he said as walked out the same door the Alpha did. I tried rubbing the feeling back into my wrist and whipped the blood from my cut lip as I headed to my room. Luckily, they were too busy to beat on me some more today. Or so I hoped. I walked into my room. Well, more like a closet. And grabbed some fresh clothes, and a ragged clean towel. I headed down the hall to the bathroom looking forward to a shower. Inside the bathroom I undid my hair and massaged my head to relieve the pain from having it up tightly. I froze as I saw my reflection in the mirror. This time I let the tears fall. My once bright blue eyes were pale and empty. Dark bags taking residence under them. My black hair was greasy and went down to my butt in thick waves from being in a bun all the time. I pulled off my clothes, stained with dirt, and looked at my fragile body that resembled a skeleton. No wonder why I was so weak. They did the bare minimum when providing for me. It's been like this for a long time. All the pack members treat me as if I was the dirt under their shoe. But my father and Jake were the worse. They did it for fun. I got in the shower and let the warm water wash away everything. I loved when I got to shower. It was the only place I could be me and feel clean. Getting out, I grabbed a fresh gray dress and slipped it on before braiding my hair in one long braid. I wrapped it in a bun and slipped on my gray flats. Heading back to my room I was stopped a pack member ordering me downstairs to help them with last minuet preparations. I had thought it'd gotten away with having to be by others, but it looks like it'll be in the presence of not one, but two alphas. Alpha Colton and my father. I went downstairs and started to help out, praying that I would be allowed to go back to my room before their arrival. Colton's point of view. I hate this pack, they're all dicks, Tyler said as he looked out the window. Yeah, me too. But if we want to see if they are connected to the recent attacks, then we have to play nice, I told him as I pulled up the pack house. I was the alpha of the Black Moon pack and Tyler my beta. We came here to settle in alliance or truce with the Red Moon pack. But we're really here to see if they were working with the Rouges. They are rumored to be a mean and horrible pack that mistreated many of their members. I had visited once before when looking for my mate but did not find her here. Thankfully. Alpha Andrews disliked me a great deal for I was a powerful alpha that many feared. He was jealous. He wanted more than anything to be feared by everyone. To be the strongest. But he played nice. As I'm sure he will be doing tonight. My pack did not want another war, so we decided to come here and try to settle this. Even though we all hated this pack and knew that we could win if it came down to war, we just wanted to stop them from teaming up with Rouges as we suspected they might be doing. Parking the car, we all climbed out. All together, it was me, Tyler, my beta, Chad, my third, and Ryan, my head warrior. We all walked to the door, but before we could knock it was opened by an old maid. She looked frightened as she looked at us. Follow me, please. She brought us to a dining room where there was 8 chairs. Alpha Andrews will be right with you. Please make yourself at home, she said, scurrying off. We all sat down and mind-linked each other so that no one could hear us. I already want to tear him apart. You see how scared that lady was, Chad said. Yes, but let's just see what they are up to. Maybe we can see if they are the ones helping the Rouges, I told him, although I was having a hard time controlling myself. Women were supposed to be cherished, and obviously they did something to scare her so much. Sure thing, boss, Chad said unhappily. Just then, Alpha Andrews walked in with his beta. Third. And head warrior. Hello, Alpha Colton. So happy you could join us. Now, how about we get down to business? He said as he sat down. Sure, I don't mind. Let's talk about the Rouges. I said, watching him closely. I saw him slightly tense up, but he relaxed himself and smiled at me. Oh yes, the Rouges. We haven't had any problems with them out here, so I don't know anything about them really. Only what I have heard from other packs. He said as he raised his hand in the air. A couple females walked in with trays of food and sat them in front of us. Was he trying to distract us from this conversation? All of them looked terrified and kept their heads down. I noticed many had bruises, which confirmed my suspicion of abuse to pack members. I waited till they left to bring up this to him. I was done ignoring it. So you like to abuse your pack member? I held back the growl I wanted to release. It's more like discipline. Keeps them in check. He said smugly. You know what? I think we're done here. I will not be needing anything from you. I got up and started to leave. My men following behind me. You will regret this, Andrews said as he walked away. I was almost to the door when I remembered the leather jacket I brought. I turned back to the room, and just as I entered, the most wonderful smell hit my nose. My wolf started to go crazy, and I looked up to see a small pale girl with black hair in a bun and pale blue eyes. All my wolf kept saying was mate over and over again. The room blurred until all I saw was her. She was cleaning up the table when her head snapped up to my direction. Her eyes widened and she instantly bowed her head down and stepped back from me. I am sorry, Alpha Colton. I did not know you were coming back, she said, shaking in fear. Just then Alpha Andrew walked in and slapped her. Don't just stand there, clean this shit up. My wolf sprang forward and I grabbed Alpha Andrews, throwing him across the room. I knew I was on the verge of shifting, but it was pointless in trying to calm my wolf. You dare lay your hand on my mate? I growled, then grabbed his head, smashing it into the wall, knocking him out, and turned to my mate. She looked at me with wide, frightened eyes and backed away. I knew that my eyes were glowing red and my canines were out, but I was pissed and didn't have a good temper. When she stepped away from me again, I let out a growl, and she instantly froze. Mine, I said as I slowly walked to her and forced my wolf away. Once I got to her, I noticed how scared and fragile she was, and as I reached for her, she instantly flinched and closed her eyes. I wanted to get mad all over again, but knew I would just scare her more. I put my hand under her chin to lift her head up to me. She felt as if she would fall apart if I wasn't careful. Her head only came to my chest. One look into her eyes and I saw how miserable and frightened she was. I'm not going to hurt you. We have to leave now before he wakes up and the rest of his pack comes. She looked up at me, eyes wide, as she processed my words. I can't. He will kill me, she said, fear engulfing her as she started to shake. I won't let that happen. You are safe with me, I said, and she finally nodded her head. Once outside, Tyler gave me a questioning look. I sent him via mind link a view of what happened, and his face instantly hardened. He did not like his Luna being hurt. Come on, you can sit in the back with my beta Tyler and my third Chad. They won't hurt you, I promise. Oh okay, she said, sliding into the Jeep after Chad. Once we all were in, we sped out of there, heading to my pack. The boys did their best to make her feel comfortable, and I kept checking the rearview window to see how she was doing. She looked so tired, but as the boys continued to talk to her, she relaxed. Eventually her lack of sleep caught up to her, and she began to fall asleep. Half an hour into the 2-hour drive, she fell asleep with her head in Tyler's lap and her feet on Chad's. "Aw, look, she is so cute and tiny," Tyler whispered while playing with her hair, and Chad nodded his head, pulling a blanket over her. I rolled my eyes, knowing that they already loved her, and focused back on the road, wanting to get as far away from that pack as possible. Charity's point of view. I woke up to 2 people arguing. I looked around to see I was laying in the back seat, and the door where my feet were was open. Standing outside my door was Tyler and Chad, yelling at each other. "I get to carry her 'cause I'm the beta, so she likes me better," Chad yelled with a smirk. "Will you both shut up? I'm carrying her," Colton said as he pushed them and came to my door with an annoyed look on his face. As soon as he saw me awake, he softened his face and gave me a tiny smile. "Okay, come on, we need to get you to the pack doctor," he said, picking me up bridal style. My eyes widened as I looked up at him, but I instantly wrapped my arms around his neck and hid my face in his chest, embarrassed. I could feel when we entered their pack house, and I felt many stares but didn't move. Once we got to the doctor's, he set me down on a bed and turned to the doctor. "This is my mate. She's from the Red Moon pack." The doctor's eyes widened but nodded in understanding. The doctor was tall, maybe about 6, and was very well built. He had tan skin, soft brown eyes and hair, and looked to be around 30 years old. My eyes snapped to Alpha Colton's in shock. Did he just say mate? "Hello, darling. What's your name?" "See, Charity," I said, looking at the doctor and Colton. "What a beautiful name." "My name is Dr. Anderson, but you can call me Doc. Now I want to do a simple checkup on you to make sure you're healthy, is that all right?" the doctor asked, giving me a small smile. I looked over at Colton and he nodded at me. "Sure," I mumbled as I felt the fear start to take hold. "Okay, great. Here is a hospital gown you can change into in the bathroom right there." I grabbed it and climbed down. A little wobbly, but managed to walk to the bathroom. As I changed into it, my stomach growled, making me realize I haven't eaten in 3 days. I walked back out and sat down to see it was just the doctor now. "Sorry, darling, but Alpha had to go take care of a problem. He should be back in a minute. Now, let's start the checkup." As he started to give me a checkup, my thoughts went to my pack and father. I knew that he would come looking for me, and that thought alone sent shivers down my spine. I was dead. I was brought out of my thoughts when the doctor asked if it would be okay to look at my ribs. I hesitated but nodded my head. He grabbed a blanket to put on my lap and then asked me to lift my gown up to my chest. I knew he saw all the bruises, but he just gave me a sad smile and felt my stomach. I was embarrassed. I turned my head towards the door, hearing a noise, and saw Colton standing there, scowling at my stomach. "Okay, I'm all done here. The bruises will go away eventually, as will the cuts, but you need to start eating 3 times a day and drink lots of water. Start with small meals, until you think you can stomach more. Just don't push yourself and risk getting sick. I'll make sure she's taken care of," Colton said, walking over to me. "Good. I'll see you around, darling," Doc said, giving me a smile and bowing, then turned, walking to another room. I knew what Alpha Colton saw, and it was not mate material for an alpha of his status. He must not be happy with me. I know I wouldn't be if I was him. I kept my head down as he walked over to me. He held out his hand, and I gripped it as I got down once more. He grabbed a blanket, wrapping it around me, and then leaned down, catching my eyes. He held my chin so that I couldn't look away as he studied me. "I'm so happy I found you," he whispered, then kissed my forehead. "Come on, let's go get you cleaned up and fed." I nodded my head and he grabbed my hand, leading me to a room. "I'm going to go get you some clothes. You can go take a shower and I'll leave them on the bed." "Okay, princess?" Colton asked. "Okay. Thank you," I whispered as I walked into the bathroom. I suddenly froze as I looked around the bathroom. There was a giant black marble jacuzzi tub that was bigger than any tub I'd ever seen. Next to it a matching shower stood. The sink was marble too and had two, one on each side of the counter. One holding a lot of men's products. I stripped off the gown and started the shower. I stepped under the water and watched the steam rise off my body and dirt run down it. I had just taken one, but when they put me back to work, they really made me do the worst of the chores. I had to use the men's shampoo and conditioner because that's all there was. I found an extra razor and shaved my body. For the first time in a while. Then washed my body down and turned off the water. Stepping out of the shower, I dried off and cracked the door open. I saw some clothes on the bed and ran out grabbing them, and then ran back into the bathroom. Unfolding the clothes, I saw that there was black lace undergarments, white fuzzy crew socks, black leggings, and a light blue oversized sweatshirt. After slipping on the clothes, I used the new toothbrush that was on top of the clothes and then grabbed a brush to comb my hair before putting it in a braid down my back. I walked out and then headed to the bedroom door. Opening it, I looked both ways down the hall and smelt the most mouth-watering smell that's ever graced my nose. Following it, I made my way to the kitchen to see a lady humming and cooking food. She looked to be in her early 50s and had a friendly aroma around her. She turned around, facing me, and her eyes widened when she saw me. "Oh my dear, aren't you beautiful?" I blushed at her compliment and looked down. "I would not call me beautiful." "Oh, none of that. Come sit down and let me feed you," she said, pulling me into a stool at the island counter and placed a big plate full of food. I would ever be able to eat all this? I mean, who would? All of a sudden I heard yelling, and two guys walked in from another door, shoving at each other as their eyes started to glow. Fear took hold of me because I was far too familiar with that look and the pain I received afterwards. I shrunk away from them as I tried not to freak out. Just when they started to get closer, Colton walked in, took one look at me, and turned to the men in anger. "Get the fuck out," he yelled, and the two guys instantly stopped and ran out of the kitchen. He walked over to me and I flinched. He stopped in front of me and I looked up to see he wasn't angry but waiting for me to look at him. "It's okay, princess," he said, wrapping his arms around me and kissing my head, then sat down. "Can I get some, Ma?" "Of course, honey." She handed him a plate and then turned around and started to clean up. "How are you doing?" he asked, turning to me. "I'm doing better. Thanks to you." "Anytime," he said, smiling at me. He was about to say something else to me, but a guy ran in. "Hey Alpha, sorry for interrupting, but we have an intruder from the Red Moon Pack." Colton stiffened and stood up, deadly calm. "Go get Tyler and Chad. I will be there in a minuet." He looked at me, noticing the fear radiating off of me. He leaned over me, tucking a stray strand of hair behind my ear. "Don't worry, they won't take you from me," he said, kissing me on the cheek and turning to his mom. "Take care of her for me, Ma. I'll be right back." He turned around and walked out the door. I watched as he left and couldn't shake the feeling of dread as he disappeared. Charity point of view. I sat in the kitchen with my leg bouncing, not knowing what to do. "Come on dear, I'll take you back to your room," the lady said. "Okay," I said quietly and followed behind her. When we got back to the room, she smiled at me. "Don't worry dear, everything is okay. Colton won't let anything happen to you." I nodded my head and then entered the room. I didn't really get to see the room before, but now that I was in here for who knows how long, I checked it out. There was a giant California king-size bed in the center, draped with navy blue blankets. The walls were a soft cream color, and the carpet was white and fluffy. There was dark wood furniture and a giant TV, hanging from the wall opposite of the bed. I made my way to the bed and grabbed the remote on the nightstand next to it. I carefully sat on the bed and turned on the TV, switching through the channels. I don't know how long I was in there, but I eventually fell asleep on the surface of the silk sheets. I was awoken by the door slamming open, and Colton storming through the door looking around. Tyler and Chad were right behind him, looking really worried. I looked back at Colton to see his red eyes staring at me. My eyes widened and I instantly started to back up and shake with fear. Then a fierce growl erupted from Colton and I froze, tears spilling to my cheeks. "Charity, don't move," Tyler said quietly and calmly. "Colton is on the verge of letting his wolf take over." When he heard them threaten your life, his wolf got furious, which isn't good considering Colton already has a short temper, Chad said, looking from me back to Colton, who stood there on the verge of turning wolf. "That was really not good, 'cause he could cause a lot of damage and could hurt someone when letting your wolf fully take over, blind with rage." "What do I do?" I said nervously. "Me and Tyler have to leave 'cause his wolf is already in high alert, but you need to calm him down. He won't hurt you," he said as they slowly backed out. I started to get up but stopped when he growled. He thought I was going with them. I slowed down and slowly walked toward him, shaking slightly. I had to calm him. After everything he's done to help me. "See, Colton," he growled lowly, with his eyes intensely staring at me as if he thinks I'm going to disappear. "It's okay, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere," I whispered as I stopped right in front of him. All of a sudden, his arms shot out and he grabbed me, pulling me into his chest and breathing me in. I let out a surprised shout as he picked me up. He walked to the bed and sat on it, pulling me to straddle him as he clutched to me, trying to control his wolf. The door flew open and Tyler and Chad rushed through. Colton started to growl again, pulling me even more into his chest as he stuck his face into my neck. "Mine," he growled into my neck. "I'm yours, Colton," I said as I ran my fingers through his hair. I looked over to them and nodded my head, signaling I was okay. They watched for a second before they relaxed and left again. After a couple minutes his breathing slowed and he laid back with me still in his arms. I pulled a blanket over us and snuggled deeper into him, just breathing in his scent. "I'll keep you safe, princess. Just don't leave me," he whispers. "I won't. I promise," I replied. He instantly relaxed with his arms around me and fell asleep as I continued to run my fingers through his hair. As I thought about all that's happened since I met him, I smiled. He saved me and I actually do feel safe with him. There will be things I need to get used to and I'll need to learn to not be so afraid. I know he won't ever hurt me on purpose, and I can tell we already have strong feeling for each other even though we haven't known each other for long. I ran my finger over his face as he pulled me closer and closed my eyes, falling asleep peacefully for the first time in forever. I was awoken by Colton brushing my hair behind my ear. Good morning, princess, he said with a giant smile. Morning, I said, blushing and hiding my face in his chest. I felt his chest rumble with laughter as he hugged me to himself. After a minute, he sighed and sat us up, pulling me to straddle him. I'm sorry about last night. It's okay, Cole, I didn't mind, I said, blushing. Oh, he said, smirking. You like when I'm crazy possessive over you? I hid my face in his shoulder as he laughed. I like feeling safe with you, I whispered. Good, cause that will definitely not be the last time, he said, lifting my chin up. His eyes darted down to my lips and then back up to my eyes as he licked his own lips. That action made my eyes fly to his lips as we slowly started to lean into each other. Our breathing started to get heavy, and right when our lips were going to touch, the door flew open, and Chad and Tyler came in, covering their eyes and falling to the floor screaming. My eyes. My poor virgin eyes. Colton rolled his eyes and glared at them as I rolled off his lap and hid under the blankets. Wow, you guys have perfect timing. So it's okay to look, Chad said, peeking through his fingers. Yes, you idiot, he replied as they both jumped up from the floor, smiling cheekily at each other as Colton glared daggers at them. I let out a tiny giggle at the pouty look on Colton's face that made him snap his eyes in my direction. He slowly smiled at me as I peeked out from under the blanket. Was that a giggle? Are you laughing at me? He asked with a devilish look on his face. My eyes widened and I shook my head. Good, cause then I would have to do this, he said, lunging at me and started to tickle me. I cried out in laughter and tried to escape him. When I got free, I ran behind Chad and Tyler. As they laughed at me, Colton got up and walked to the closet. He came back out with 2 stacks of clothes. Sorry, princess, but I have some alpha stuff I need to do today, so you are going to have to spend the day with these 2 losers, he said, handing me a pile of clothes. You take our bathroom and I'll take the one down the hall, he said as he walked out with a smile. I looked at the boys confused. They just smiled and walked out of the room. After showering, I got dressed into the light blue summer dress and walked out to see Colton sitting on the bed tying his dress shoes. He had black dress pants and a light blue shirt on. He handed me black heels and smiled. I raised an eyebrow at him. We're matching, I said. He just smiled wider and walked into the bathroom. I sat down in a chair and started brushing my hair. He walked over to me and grabbed the brush to finish my hair when Chad and Tyler came in, arguing with each other. Do you know how to knock? Colton grumbled. Yup, they both said. Colton pulled my hair into a ponytail while asking the boys why they were arguing. Chad wants to take Shar to the movies room, and I want to take her to the gardens, Tyler replied, glaring at Chad as they started to argue with each other again. Can't we do both? I asked, which shut them up, and they nodded, looking happy. Okay, done, Colton said, looking proudly at my hair. Now out, he said, looking at the boys. When they left, he pulled me up into him and hugged me. I'll see you later, okay, princess? Okay, Cull, I said, holding on to him. Cull? He asked, smiling wide. I like it. He let go, and I started to walk towards the door when I was yanked back. He wrapped one arm around my waist and cupped my face with his other hand. Leaning down into me, he pressed his lips against mine in a soft but demanding kiss. I gripped his shoulder and placed my other hand at the back of his neck, sliding it up into his hair. He groaned before reluctantly pulling away and placed his forehead against mine, breathing deeply. I've been wanting to do that since I saw you, he whispered. Come on, love birds, we have lots to do. Tyler yelled. I let out a giggle before pulling away from Cole. I stopped and looked at him before quickly placing a kiss on his cheek and skipping out the door to the boys. Charity's point of view. I have never seen a full movie before coming here. Tyler and Chad would sit me between them and take turns picking a movies for me to watch every day. They said I had to catch up on the classics. After we would go to the garden where the pack grew the most beautiful flowers and even some fruits and vegetables. I was walking down the stone path. The noise of my heels clicking on the rocks. As I admired a rose. I have been here for a couple days now and my health has been improving a lot. It put on some healthy weight thanks to Colton's mom keeping me fed. Colton was busy most of the day, but I enjoyed sending it with the boys. They kept me laughing, which I wasn't used to. Chad stopped beside me and turned his head as if he was listening to something. Most likely being telepathically communicated to. Call is coming. He said, smiling, and then continued walking. As I followed, I couldn't help but feel excited to see Call again. I know I had just seen him this morning, but I missed him. He makes me feel so safe and cared for. As I turned the corner, I saw Cole walking down the path towards me with another guy. Hey, Charity. Come here. He said with a face that held no emotion. I felt my stomach drop. Yes. I said as I approached him. My eyes darting between the man and Cole. I couldn't help the sadness that came over me. Cole's coldness made my heart sink. Charity, this is Matthew from the Werewolves Committee. He came for a visit. He wanted to meet our pack's future Luna. The Werewolf Committee. They oversaw all the packs and liked to pretend they held some power over them. Much like my father. They wished to be the ones in control of the werewolves. Well, there is a possibility that she will not be the future Luna. Matthew said, looking me over. What? I whispered, confused and a little panicky. It is correct that you have not shifted yet? He questioned. Yes. I said as my heart started to beat rapidly. Me not being able to shift was another reason my father and pack had hated me so much. What kind of shifter couldn't even shift? It was an embarrassment I feared telling Call and the boys, but they accepted me still. I honestly don't know what I did to deserve them. Well, we can't have a human as the world's most powerful packs, Luna, can we? Alpha Colton. I looked at Cole and his straight face as he looked off to the garden, not saying anything. I understand. I said to Matthew. But kept my eyes on Cole. He did not look at me. I could feel the boys standing off to the side. I had been starting to be able to sense them more with having spent so much time with them, and I could tell they were trying to control their anger. If you will excuse me. I need to go. I said with a small smile. As I walked away, I did all I could not to fall in devastation. I knew it was too good. I couldn't stay. I arrived at our bedroom. No, his bedroom. And locked the door behind me. Leaning my head against it, I let the sob tear its way out of my heart. I stumbled to the bed and laid there curled around the pillows as I cried. I don't know how long I'd been asleep when I heard a banging against the door. Charity, let me in. Cole growled from the other side of the door. I didn't reply and just curled around Cole's pillow. I couldn't see him. I choked back another sob, the noise soliciting another growl from Cole. Princess. You need to let me in. He said desperately. I need to see you. I know you're crying and it's driving me crazy. I'm sorry. Please. You have to know you aren't going anywhere. I won't allow it. Please, baby, let me in. he begged outside the door. Pulling myself out of the bed, I walked to the door and unlocked it before stepping back. He waited for just a second before swinging the door open. He stood in front of me, and his desperate look took in my disheveled appearance and my no doubt red puffy eyes. He groaned and reached out to me, pulling me into his chest with his arms wrapped around me tightly. "Thank you, princess," he said. I sniffled and shoved my face in his neck, breathing in his scent. He pulled back and cupped my face. "Please don't cry. I promise you aren't going anywhere," he said, wiping my eyes. He picked me up and walked out of the room. "We're going to get through this." "Where are we going?" I asked, hiccuping. "We're going to see Doc to see if we can see why you can't shift. Maybe we can get you too. But if we can't, that is perfectly fine. You're staying with me no matter what." I relaxed, knowing he wouldn't leave me, but started to hyperventilate as I thought of shifting. "Hey, don't worry, I'll be with you." "Okay." As we arrived at the infirmary, I saw other werewolves there getting checkups and their injuries looked at by nurses. We went straight to the doc's office to find him looking through the many books and biting the end of his pen. "Did you find anything?" Cole asked. "Yes. I have read that all you have to do is have the mate mark her as his. Then the shift should happen afterwards." "That's it?" I asked, and the doctor looked up, nodding with a smile. "Colton is a strong alpha. His mark on you would bring forth your wolf and should initiate a transformation." "Okay then. Let's do it," I said. "Princess," Colton growled as he looked down at me. "This is not a simple act. Marking and claiming you is a big deal." "I know. I want you to." He growled at my words and his wolf's eyes glowed. "Good. Because I want nothing more to put my mark on you for everyone to see. So they know you are mine and never to lay a finger on you," he said as he looked down at me with a possessiveness that made me shiver. Seeing my reaction, he growled again, his body tense as if he was about to lose control. "We're going to need Tyler and Chad," the doctor said as Cole looked at the hymn. Colton must have summoned them telepathically because they appeared a minuet later. Once they got here, the doc looked at me with a little concern and worry. "This will be extremely painful since you are way past shifting age and you are going to be bit before." "It's okay. I'm used to pain," I said, causing Tyler and Chad to growl. We all got up and went to a room with padded floors that they use for other people shifting for the first time. As I entered, Cole came in and shut the door behind him. I looked at him nervously as he walked towards me. "Don't worry, princess, everything will be okay." "I know. Will you stay outside the door?" "Of course. I'm not going anywhere, princess." I looked up at him as he wrapped his arms around me and put his face in my neck. I shivered at the feel of his lips against my skin and groaned as he lightly nipped me with his teeth. "I've been waiting to do this." "I love you," he said possessively as he bit into my neck, not giving me a chance to say anything. The bite itself didn't hurt. No, it felt amazing. To be claimed by Cole and the connection I had to him now. It was the feeling of my body starting to transition that was bad. The pain was excruciating as my body went tense. It felt as if every beating it'd gotten was hitting me at the same time. Cole laid me down carefully as he brushed the hair from my face. Worry etched on his face. Another wave of pain hit me, and I started to scream in pain. Cole looked as if he was in pain too, and his wolf came forward as he worried over me. The door flew open and Chad and Tyler walked in. "Come on, Colton. Doc says you need to get out, or it will just be worse for both of you. Colton growled, not wanting to leave me, but the boys grabbed him, pulling him out. As soon as the door closed, all my bones started to crack and break, rearranging themselves. It went on for hours, before I finally passed out. I woke to someone running their hands down my body. I opened my eyes to see Colton, Chad, Tyler, and Doc surrounding me. I looked down at myself and saw that my fur was a mixture of black and gray. I had actually shifted. "Hey, princess. You did it," Cole said. I whined and pushed my nose against his hand. He laughed and then scratched behind my ear. As a Luna, I was bigger than an average female wolf. I was just as big as an average male, and Cole, being an alpha, was a lot bigger than me and an average male. Werewolves were a lot bigger than actual wolves as well, so we couldn't really blend in with them either. The others congratulated me before leaving me with Cole. "You want to shift back?" I nodded my head yes and thought of my human self. As soon as I shifted back, which was a lot faster and easier than the first time, I looked at Cole to see him looking at me intensely. That's when I realized I was naked and I screamed, covering Cole's eyes. Cole started to laugh and then turned around. "Here, take my shirt," he said, pulling it off. "Thanks," I grumbled, putting it on, then crossing my arms, I looked at Cole and cleared my throat. He turned around with a big smile and wiggled his eyebrows. I rolled my eyes and stomped out the door, sticking my tongue out at him, already feeling the bond tying him to me. He was so happy. "So, princess, when you going to mark me?" he yelled from behind me, right in front of everyone. A blush spread across my cheeks as I stumbled to a stop. "Colton," I growled in embarrassment. I continued to glare at him as he wiggled his eyebrows and came closer to me. Once he got right in front of me, I wrapped my arms around his neck as his went around my waist, carrying me back into the room and shutting the door. I don't know," I said as I ran the top of my nose along his neck. He shivered and held me tighter. I planted kisses and then grazed my teeth on the spot I was supposed to mark him, and he growled. He pushed me against the wall as he pressed himself against me. "Charity. Now," he begged. "Fine," I said as I planted more kisses along his neck and finally said what I wanted to say. "I love you too," and then bit into his neck. He let out a moan as my canines sunk in and he gripped me tightly. I reluctantly released him, and he slammed his mouth onto mine, growling, as he held the side of my neck with one hand. Our mental connection connected completely, and I could feel the pleasure coming off of him. "Come on, princess, let's go watch a movie in our room," he said as he picked me up bridal style and walked to our room. He dropped me on the bed and climbed in after me. Pulling the covers over us, he grabbed the remote and flicked through the channels as I just admired his face and the comfort he brought me. "You like what you see?" he smirked as he watched the screen. "I've seen better," I said with a serious face. He turned to me with a murderous look on his face. "Who?" he said, deadly calm. I held in my laugh. "Well, he is tall and very handsome, and has the cutest nickname for me." He grabbed me and pulled me on top of him. "Princess, tell me now," he said as his whole body tensed, and I held in my laughter. "Plus he is a alpha," I said, super excitedly. "Damn it, Charity, who the hell is it? I am going to rip his head off." At that I burst out laughing as I fell against his chest. Once I settled down, I looked up at him, to see him staring at me with a straight face, but I could see the anger in his eyes. I really hope you don't rip your own head off. I happen to like your face very much. Oh, you think you're funny, he said as he flipped me over, and laid on top of me and started kissing me all over my face. Giggles erupted from me and he leaned back smiling. He turned to the TV and tucked me into his chest. I snuggled in and placed my hand on his neck, tracing the mark I left. He shivered in pleasure and relaxed as I continued to run my hand through his hair and down to his neck over his mark. Don't stop. I continued until he fell asleep, and soon after I passed out as well. I woke up to a loud crash. I bolted up and looked around the room to see it empty. I got up and threw on some new clothes and ran downstairs. Once in the living room, I saw all the windows were shattered and a couple people injured. What's going on? I asked a guard that was looking at the windows. It was dark outside, since it was so late at night. Hello, Luna. There seems to be someone trying to send a message. What do you mean? There was a rock thrown through the window with a message. What did it say? I'm sorry, Luna, but I don't know. Whatever it was made the Alpha extremely angry, he said with a fearful look. My eyes widened and I thanked him before walking to Cole's office. Tull, I said as I opened his door. I saw him sitting at his desk, staring at a paper on it. Walking over to him, I tried to look at the note, but he grabbed it so I couldn't read it. What does it say? Nothing, he said, pulling me into his lap. Call, I said warningly. It's your father. He said he will take back what's his. Dead or alive. What, he didn't even like me? I yelled as I jumped up. I know, princess. But I like you. I even love you, so that means I am not letting anything happen to you. Okay, he said, pulling me to stand in front of him. Okay, I said, looking down at him. I'm calling a meeting about amping up security. You don't have to stay, it will be pretty boring. It's okay, I'll stay. Okay then, he said with a giant smile, obviously happy that I was staying with him. That's when everyone else started to pile in and take a seat around the giant table. Cole pulled me into his lap where he held me close. With my head in his neck and my body wrapped around his, it didn't last 10 minutes until I was asleep again in his arms. Which would be the last time I would be sleeping in them for a while. After the incident the other day, I haven't seen much of Cole. He doesn't really sleep and is always in meetings, so I have been spending a lot of time to myself. Chad and Tyler have even been busy with Cole's orders as well. I have gotten to know many of the other pack members, often helping out in the kitchen or the infirmary. They have taught me a lot and welcomed me into the family. My favorite thing was that I got to play with the children here. I found myself sitting in the meadow helping take care of the children as their parents were off at work. The kids loved showing off all their different skill and tricks and often followed me everywhere. Sitting in the grass as they shifted into their little puppy wolves and ran around was what I spent most of my time doing. Exploring the pack grounds and meeting other pack members have been fun and I have made a lot of friends, but I miss Kale. I tried talking to him every once in a while in the past 2 days, but he just says he is busy, giving me a quick kiss, and then rushes off to do the next task on his list. Although his absence is depressing, I don't want to seem clingy, so I'm trying to give him some space. My wolf has been hounding me for a run, so since I have nothing else to do today, I think I'll grant her demanding wish. I was just starting to get used to the feeling of my wolf inside me. She was her own person, and it was weird at first hearing her thoughts and balancing them with mine. I walked to the edge of the woods and shifted behind a tree, not wanting anyone to see me naked. My wolf immediately started to take over, and I started to run through the trees, jumping over logs and bushes until we were tired out. I made my way over to a lake, bending down to take a drink of the water when I heard the snap of a branch. I quickly turned around and searched the forest, but couldn't hold back the fear forming at the bottom of my stomach. My ears twitched at the slightest noise, but when nothing happened, I decided I needed to head back. Just as I was about to leave, 3 wolves sprang out and surrounded me. They were all males, guessing by their size. The one on the left was brown and tan, his eyes looking around the forest, watching to make sure no one else was coming. The one on the right was gray and brown and had a chunk of fur missing from its ear. And lastly, was the one in the middle. It was black and brown. I knew immediately who it was. My father had come back for me. I frantically looked around, but couldn't find a way out. "Cole," I yelled through mind link. "What's the matter?" I went for a run, but now I'm surrounded by. Before I could finish, the wolf on the right sprang at me, making me fall back and hit my head against a tree. As my eyes started to get fuzzy, I could hear Cole screaming my name, but I was unable to reply as I slowly blacked out. Cole's point of view. Coming out of another meeting, I dragged myself upstairs to my room, hoping that Char would be there. I was disappointed to see her gone, but wasn't surprised that she wouldn't be there at 1 in the afternoon. I hadn't gotten much time to spend with her because I need to make sure that we kept the place secure. I also have been talking with other alphas about the Rouge problem and seeing if they have had trespasses on their land like we have. I collapsed on the bed, falling asleep. The past couple nights catching up on me. I woke up a couple hours later to a bad feeling. My wolf was antsy and knew I needed to see Charity. "Call. What's the matter?" I went for a run, but now I'm surrounded by. I felt the connection break and started to yell her name, but no responses came. I jumped up and ran downstairs to Chad and Tyler. "Something has happened to Charity," I said, running to the front door, them close on my heels. Following her scent, I reached a lake and looked around. Her scent seemed to stop here, so I couldn't follow it anymore. But what really got me was the smell of other wolves. We had trespassers. Chad burst through the bushes with Tyler right on his heels. They sniffed the air and looked at me. "Where is the Luna?" Chad said, worry lacing his words. "I don't know," I growled, blind rage starting to take over. "There are 3 other scents here," Tyler said as he took a big sniff. I turned and started running back to the house. As soon as I got there, I slammed the door open and headed to my office. I knew just who had the nerve to take her on my own lands. And I would end his life, because no one messes with what is mine. And Charity is mine. I'm going to rip them to shreds if they even lay one finger on her. Their days are over. I grabbed the desk from my office and threw it across the room in rage as I howled. My whole pack could hear the anger in me and howled along with me. Them just as angry. Find her and kill anyone who touched her, I roared as my whole pack got to moving. Charity's point of view. I don't know how many times I have woken to my body being broken and bloody. Too many times, I think. But this time it was different. This time, instead of accepting that this was all I had, I felt different. I felt pissed. Now obviously. I'm not the type to throw tempers and start spitting fire at whoever got me angry, but I mean seriously. Can't he just have left me alone? I tried to reach out to call, but the silver shackles were blocking him and my wolf. Silver was a werewolf's kryptonite. Motherfucking bitch. I screamed as I yanked on the stupid chains, ignoring the burning sensation. Oh, yes, my wolf had given me quite a short temper now as well. Wow. My dear daughter. I never thought I would hear those words come from your mouth. My father chuckled as he entered the room. I instantly froze as terror washed over me. My wolf started shrinking back but encouraged her to stay strong. It's good to see you two. And you have shifted. About time. I was thinking you would never end up shifting. What do you want from me? I asked as my head hung down from where I was standing. My hands were chained above my head and my feet to the floor. Well, I thought it only fair to keep you from your mate like you have kept me from mine. He said as he glared at me. I didn't kill Mom. I growled out. No, but you didn't try and help her either. You just hid while she was torn to pieces. It's your fault, you stupid bitch. He said, yelling in my face. I was a kid. I was scared. I didn't know that that would happen. Well, it did, and it's your fault. He spat. He turned and headed to the door, and just as he was about to close it, I whispered. You may have lost one person you loved that day, but I lost everyone. He stood still for a second before he shut the door, and I let myself hang from the chains. It hurt to breath, so I must have a couple broken ribs, and from what I could see I was covered in bruises. I was in and out of consciousness the next couple days. I don't know how long I was down there, but every other day someone would come in. They beat me to keep me weak and gave me just enough food to stay alive. I was bruised and bloody and tired. Many times I almost gave up and wanted to let the darkness take me, which I knew would lead to my death, but then Call's face would flash before my eyes. I would remember when he told me never to leave him, and that he needed me. I promised I wouldn't, and am going to keep that promise for as long as I could. Although it didn't seem like it would be that much longer. All I could do was pray that he would find me. Colton's point of view. Minuets had turned to hours. Hours turned to days, and days turned to weeks. And there was no sign of my princess. Where is she? Where is my mate? I yelled as I tore our room apart. The door slowly opened and my mom walked in. She approached me carefully as I panted, looking around the room. Call, she said as she put her hand on my shoulder. I turned to look at her and instantly fell into her arms. She sat us down as sobs tore through my body and hugged me to her. Shh, baby, it's okay. Everything will be okay, she whispered as she rubbed my back. What am I going to do, Mom? She trusted in me to protect her and I didn't. I was barely there for her before she was taken. I was too busy to listen to her. I sobbed. She pulled me up and looked into my eyes. Call, you listen to me. You are going to find her and you are going to make sure whoever took her never sees the light of day again. I want my grandbabies. My lip twitched slightly at that, but I could feel determination washing over me again. She is alive. I know that, but she is in pain, Ma. So much pain, I said as I pulled myself together. I needed to be strong. She is a strong girl, she said as she pulled me into a hug. The door flew open to see a distraught-looking Tyler and Chad. Alpha. I think we found her. Tyler yelled. What? Where? In an underground bunker on the border of her father's land. We saw two Rouges enter and heard them say her name. Chad said, looking excited and hopeful. I had sent them in to watch his pack. They had been working relentlessly to find her. Just as worried about her as me. All right then, let's go. I said, jumping up and kissing my mother's head. They instantly ran out the room, almost tripping over themselves. They had felt extremely guilty that they had not been there to help Charity, but I knew it wasn't their fault. That still didn't stop them from feeling that way, and I knew they were just as desperate to get Princess back as I was. They loved her too, and I mean, who wouldn't? The whole pack wanted her back. I mind-linked the pack to prepare to get our Luna back, and they immediately responded. She had made many friends while I was busy, and they all were excited to get their Luna back. I ran downstairs and out the door to my pack. I shifted as I jumped out the door and landed on all four paws. Let's get our Luna back. I howled at the now setting sun, and the rest of the pack joined in. I bolted into the woods with Chad and Tyler on either side of me, slightly behind me. Behind us was the rest of our pack warriors. We're coming for you, Princess. Colton's point of view. We approached the door to the bunker, slowly spreading out to surround it. Me, Tyler, and Chad silently crept up to the door, making sure no others were around. After nodding to the others, the door was opened and we slowly crept in. I knew my pack could handle anyone that came after us. We shifted into human form and threw on the shorts we had secured to us when we were in wolf form. I followed the scent of my mate down the hall, and the smell of her blood hit my nose. When I opened the door to the room she was held in, my heart shattered. There she was, broken and bloody and chained. I slowly walked to her and knelt beside her. Princess. Baby. Come on, wake up. I need you to wake up for me. I said, pulling her head into my lap as Tyler and Chad released her chains. Let me see those pretty eyes. Slowly, her eyes started to open, and she looked at me. Colton. Hey, Princess, at me. She watched me for a couple seconds and then let out a sob. My wolf was raging inside me at the condition our mate was in, and it took everything in me to stay focused. I carefully lifted her into my arms as her head rolled back too weak to stay conscious. We made our way out and found our pack members engaged in a fight with other wolves. Looking across at the edge of the forest, I saw the man responsible for everything happening. I'm gonna kill him. Tyler. I called. Take her into the woods and wait for me there. I said as I carefully handed her to him. I'd never seen him so serious. I will protect her with my life, he said, holding her to him, and he looked down at her lovingly. I got you, Charity. I relaxed knowing she was safe with him, and Chad immediately backed up Tyler as they headed to the forest. As they disappeared from view, I turned back to her father. He was standing to the left edge of the clearing, watching everything. The Rouges fighting against my pack were a lot weaker than us, and they were soon starting to fall behind. I took my shorts off and shifted again, charging towards him. He saw me and quickly shifted into his own wolf. We circled each other, watching to see who would strike first. Of course he did, as if to show of his dominance. He lunged at me, knocking me to the floor, and tried to bite my neck. I quickly flipped over and got up, attacking his back legs and biting down. I needed to end this fast. My mate needed me. He whined and then bit into my tail, so I kicked him in the face and attacked his side. Releasing me, he clawed my stomach as I jumped at him. Pain rippled through me, but I shook it off and clawed his face. as he closed his eyes in pain, and I locked my jaw around his throat and tore it out. His body fell to the floor and I shook his head in my mouth a couple times before tossing it away. I looked around to see the last of the rouges being taken care of and told my pack that once they were finished to go home. After thanking them, I ran towards the scent of my mate. I jumped through the trees to see Chad in a defensive pose growling at me as Tyler crouched hiding her behind his back. When they saw it was me, they relaxed and let me see her. She was sitting against a tree, with her eyes closed. I went up to her slowly, hearing Tyler and Chad backing away to give us some space, and nudged her with my nose. Whining. I licked her face, and she opened her eyes to me. I nudged her again and laid down, and she slowly climbed onto my back. I got up when she steadied herself and begun to run back home, careful to not jostle her. I didn't stop once I reached my pack lands. I went straight to our room and shifted once I slipped her off me and onto the bed. I picked her up and brought her into the bathroom and started the bath. As it ran, I slowly and carefully pulled her clothes off. I turned off the bath once it was full and gently set her inside. I began to wash her hair and body and then let her just sit in there. She watched me the whole time and then yanked on my arm. I looked at her confused. "Get in," she said. I watched her for a second and then got up from my spot beside the bath and slipped in. Still naked from shifting. Sitting in front of her, so I could face her. She turned around and laid against me, bringing my arms around and entwining our fingers. I finally relaxed. Now that I had her in my arms and held her to me. Loving the way her body felt against mine, the stress and worry slipped away. I couldn't keep my hands off her. When the water started to get cold, I climbed out and wrapped a towel around my waist, and then pulled her out and wrapped one around her. I set her on the bed and grabbed boxers, slipping them on, and then one of my shirts for her. Once I dried her off, I pulled the shirt over her and pulled the covers back. She slipped into them and I followed, tucking her into my arms. "I'm so sorry, princess. It's all my fault," I whispered. Her eyes flew to mine, full of shock. "What? Cole, it's not your fault." "Yes, it was. If I had been there for you, then you wouldn't have been taken," I said. She reached up and wiped a tear that fell down my cheek. "No, Cole. It was my father's. I don't want you to blame yourself because I don't," she said as she gently kissed my face. I grabbed her cheeks and slammed my lips to hers in a desperate kiss. It felt like years that we had been apart. The kiss was frantic, our cheeks wet with tears. It was full of longing and passion, and when we finally pulled apart, we were panting. I held her to me tighter and closed my eyes, just breathing in her scent. "Come on, princess. Let's go to sleep." She snuggled into me and fell asleep almost right away. It was a while before sleep took me. I just watched her as if she was gonna disappear. I looked at my mark on her neck and lightly kissed it, making her groan in her sleep. Smiling, I tucked her head under mine and went to sleep. Charity's point of view. I woke up to a feeling of safety and warmth. I opened my eyes to see Cole peacefully asleep on top of me. I tried to pull out from his arms, but he tightened his arms around me in his sleep and his eyebrows furrowed. He made a low growling noise and I stopped, wrapping my arms around him and pressed a kiss to his forehead. He relaxed into me and shoved his head into my neck, making me smile. I closed my eyes as I ran my fingers up and down his back, and he slowly woke up. "Good morning, princess." His deep voice wrapped around me, making me shiver. "Morning, Cole," I said, snuggling deeper into him. He laughed and pulled up onto his elbows on either side of me. We need to get the doc up here. A frown settled on his face. I'm fine. Cole. Princess, I just want to make sure. Cole, please. I just want to be with you right now. He watched me for a minute and then sighed, laying on top of me again. We were quiet for a while until he broke the silence. I was so scared, Princess. He said, his hold on me growing tighter. I knew you would find me. And you did. We're okay now. I'm sorry I wasn't with you. I love you so much, and if something happened to you, I wouldn't be able to live. Cole, I love you too. And I'm safe now. You don't have to worry. I'm yours. Fuck yeah, you are. He said, growling and kissing his mark on my neck. I laughed and pulled him down for a kiss. It turned heated quick and he pulled away, watching me. I nodded my head, and again he was attacking me with his mouth, but careful of my injuries. He ripped off the t-shirt of his he had me wear last night and slipped out of his boxers. Crawling onto the bed again, I giggled as he kissed up my body to my lips. You are my world. He whispered in my ear as he bit into my neck on his mark again. Pleasure rang through my body, and I greedily returned the gesture, strengthening our bond. He groaned into my neck and the rest was like a dream. I loved every moment of it. I didn't worry about anyone or anything when I was with him. Nothing mattered but him and me. We spent all day in bed together. But towards dinner we decided to go out and get some food from the kitchen. After getting out of the shower, he pulled on PJ pants and I pulled on spandex shorts, and one of his shirts. Heading downstairs, Cole kept me close, as if he thought I could be taken any minute. When we entered the kitchen, Tyler and Chad's heads snapped in our direction and giant smiles grew on their face. Charity. They yelled and rushed towards me, pulling me into a giant hug. They finally pulled away when Cole begun to growl. I'm happy you're back, Char. Tyler said. Me too. Chad chimed in. Cole pulled me to the counter and sat me down while he begun to make grilled cheese sandwiches. Once he finished, he placed the food in front of me and the guys. Then glared as I was sitting between them. He came around the counter and picked me up, sitting in my chair, and then placed me on his lap. He grabbed half a sandwich and brought it to my mouth. I raised an eyebrow but took a bite. He smiled and then took a bite. We continued this as the guys talked about what I missed out on in the pack while I was on my little adventure. I was glad that they weren't bringing down the mood with talking about what happened. They did tell me the temper tantrum that Cole made while I was gone. No wonder his office was a mess. When I was full, I leaned into his chest and looked around at these three guys that were laughing around me. I didn't realize I was crying until Cole asked if something was wrong, and I saw all their faces looking at me with concern. No. Nothing's wrong. I'm just happy. I have a family that I love. Chad pretended to wipe away tears and lightly pushed my knee. Oh, stop, you're making me blush. He said, putting his hands on his cheeks and shyly blinking at me. Oh, Cole. You hear that? She love vivisas. Tyler sang, wiggling his eyebrows and making kissing noises at me. Shut up, thank you. Cole grumbled and shoved him out of his chair, causing me and Chad to burst out in laughter. Tyler sat up and looked at me with a smile. I love you to Char. He said and scrambled away when Cole tried to jump on top of him. This was my home now. This was my family, and I knew that I would always be protected and loved. Now that my father was gone, I wouldn't have to worry. Thank you and Chad were the protective brothers I've never had and always wanted. They always made me laugh and easily can cheer me up when I'm down. Colton's mom is also very motherly to me and treats me like family. The boys wrestled on the floor for a while and I laughed at them. Thank you, Call. I said as he left thank you on the floor groaning from when he punched him. And came back towards me. For what? Everything. I said, smiling at him. You're welcome, princess. He leaned down and lightly kissed me before pulling away and shoving the last of his sandwich in my mouth. Damn it. Colton. Loud footsteps approached the room before he burst through the door. What's the matter? Is it time? Where's the baby bag? I'll get the car, wait here. He said frantically, looking around. Colton. I'm fine. I'm only 3 months. I laughed. He stopped and relaxed after looking at me. He walked towards where I was sitting on the bed and got on his knees between my legs, wrapping his arms around me and placing his forehead on belly. Sorry, princess. He paused, and then kissed my belly. What's the matter? Oh, well, I can't get my socks on. Although I was only 3 months. As a werewolf we were only pregnant for 4 months. Plus I was having twins, so I was super huge. He laughed and grabbed the fuzzy socks off the bed and slipped them on. There we go. All warm. He pushed me back into the bed and laid behind me, resting his hands on my belly. So you decide on names yet? He asked. No. Have you? Not really. I'm thinking Hunter, for our boy. I like it. Now, what about our girl? Something scary, so all the boys will leave her alone. Like Killer. Or Soulsucker. Or the Death Bringer. He said, completely serious. We are not naming our daughter any of those names. I laughed. Plus I think you will do a good enough job scaring them away. Damn straight. I'm going to make sure me and Hunter protect our girls. I smiled at that and kissed under his chin. What about Haley? Hunter and Haley. Sounds perfect, princess. Good. Now we have the names all figured. Yup. Oh, Tyler and Chad want to come over, so I invited them to dinner. Oh, great. Do you know how weird it is for them to always be talking to my belly about how much fun they will have with their uncles? Colton laughed and kissed my head. They are just excited. Yeah, I know. The door burst open and Chad and Tyler came in, falling to the ground. Oh. My eyes. My poor virgin eyes. They yelled, rolling on the floor. Damn it, you guys. Would you quit doing that? Colton yelled. The guys sat up and started laughing as Colton helped me up. I smiled at them as they pushed each other, trying to get up. Hey guys. I said as they pulled me into a hug, kissing my cheek. Hey Char. So, what's for dinner? Tyler asked. Food. Now get out. Cull growled. Aw. Come on, we just wanted to check on our little pups. Isn't that right, guys? Chad said the last part in a baby voice and reached for my belly, but Cull knocked his hand away. Would you stop touching her? Ah, buttlebul, look, the big alpha is all protective of his babies. Tyler laughed. Yes, all three. 'Cause they're mine, he said, smugly wrapping his arm around me. Maybe it's about time you get your own. Your no Shar is the only one for me, Tyler said, smiling. Making Call growl. Go get the barbecue ready, Colton growled. They raced out the door, and I followed to make sure they didn't burn down anything. Before I got to the door, Call pulled on my arm and kissed me. When he pulled away, and I opened my eyes, he was looking down at me, smirking. I've been wanting to do that since I saw you, repeating the words he said to me the first time he kissed me. And I've never been happier.